Welcome to a new fantasy adventure on Dreamscape. In this touching fantasy short story, young blacksmith Ardok struggles with the loss of his mentor Finnick. Can he overcome his grief and take on his master's legacy? An emotional story about friendship, hope, and life's journey with magical and fairy tale elements. The biggest gesture you can give me is a like. If you like my stories, feel free to leave a subscription and activate the bell so you don't miss any more stories. Well then, let's dive into the story. The Blacksmith and the Legacy. The young blacksmith Ardok sat with his head bowed in his small, unadorned forge on the outskirts of the city of Alter, staring listlessly for hours at the faintly blazing hearth before him. It had once filled him with great pride and deep fulfillment to be the apprentice of the legendary master Finnick, crafting the finest and most elaborate swords and armor in the entire kingdom of Tarun. But since the sudden and much too early death of his highly esteemed master and mentor a year ago, Ardok's inner creative fire seemed to have been completely extinguished. Without Master Finnick's wise coaching, his encouraging words, and the fascination for the high art of forging that he had awakened in Ardok, the young man now lacked all drive and inspiration. Sighing, Ardok finally stood up and stepped out through the squeaky wooden door into the open air, breathing deeply of the cool evening air in the hope that it would dispel his gloomy thoughts. Outside the forge, he saw a happy group of playing children frolicking among the neat little houses. One of the girls, the baker's daughter, waved at him with a broad innocent smile full of gaps between her teeth. Ardok waved back wanly and cheerlessly.
By all the gods, you look richly stricken and dejected, my young friend.
A deep, powerful and melodious voice suddenly sounded right beside him. Ardok winced briefly and wheeled around. In front of him stood the ever-popular and always good-humored chef Cedric from the famous tavern to the Jolly Wizard in the center of the city.
Ah, Cedric, you know that since Master Finnick passed away so suddenly last year, I am but a shadow of my former self and lead a dreary existence.
Ardok replied in a sad, low voice.
The people here need a blacksmith who has true inspiration within him and is able to touch their hearts with his fantastic works. But the fire of passion in me seems to be extinguished forever.
Cedric compassionately placed one of his large, heavy hands on Ardok's slender shoulder and looked him urgently in the eyes.
The fire of creative power still burns within you, my boy, I feel it keenly. You just need to vigorously rekindle the bellows of your soul. No one could make your master prouder than if you carry on his work and legacy and seek your own path.
Ardok sighed heavily.
Yes, I suppose you are right, Cedric. I should look forward again and finally make a fresh start, as hard as that is for me.
For the first time in many dark months, a small feeling of hope stirred in his melancholy soul. Perhaps he could continue and complete the life's work of his revered master in his own way. After the encouraging words of his friend Cedric, Ardok decided to try again. He returned to his forge and rekindled the fire. Slowly, he warmed the steel hammer and watched the embers in the forge. Suddenly, he was overcome with memories of his first day as an apprentice to Master Finnick. How he came laughing to the weak boy and took him under his wing. Ardok remembered the countless hours he spent assisting his master, learning the art of blacksmithing. Of all the little lessons and wisdom that Finnick always gave him along the way. And how proud he was of Ardok whenever a sword turned out particularly well. A tear ran down Ardok's cheek, but warmth spread through his heart. His beloved master would always be with him on his further journey through life. And Ardok would honor Finnick's memory by continuing his work with love and devotion. Determined, Ardok picked up the hammer and began to shape the glowing iron. Day after day he refined his art, creating swords, helmets, armor. People from Alter and the surrounding villages came back to the forge to admire and buy Ardok's work. Above the forge, Ardok had placed a small monument to Master Finnick. He placed each finished workpiece in front of it and silently thanked his mentor. And whenever the wind rekindled the embers in the forge, Ardok felt as if he could hear Finnick's warm laughter in the firelight. The master would live on forever in the hearts of the people through him and his works.